order. Let's call to order the Friday, October 10th regular meeting of MSRAC. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the September 12th, 2025 regular meeting. You can have a motion. Okay, we have. We have a motion to approve. Is there any comments on the minutes?
Just one typo.
Okay.
Are you there? Oh, okay. I was on the last page, under E, other business. The second paragraph, it was a building goof. The word is goof. I think it's supposed
Right.
to sell good. Yeah, goodwill, not goofwill.
Yes, you're right. Good catch. Good catch, Joanne.
You know me.
Yep.
And just for my sake, later in the minutes, that was Ken making the motion and Steve seconding.
Correct. Okay, so is it all right to accept that amendment?
Yes.
Everybody accept? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's move on. Item 3, correspondence. Do we have any not associated with other items on the agenda?
So,
Okay,
The letter that Steve Lewis sent last night.
well, I would say that's committee business more than
yeah,
correspondence.
we're definitely gonna discuss these drafts of these letters at the appropriate point in the agenda. Item 4, citizen comments. We do have Robert Leskus with us here. Do you have any comments you want to make at this time, not associated?
I want to just pause for a minute and thank everybody on this committee. I mean, this was to be welcomed here and to have your assistance with this whole thing. I mean, I can't take nearly a fraction of the credit here between everybody, all you guys. I mean, this was a 100% team effort. Period, like all across the board, whether you're, vocal on social media or, just being in this room or, the town officials, Tara being as amazing as she is and everybody else, just the residents. This was a full team effort and I'm grateful and I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome, and thanks for your interest in 630 Riverside
Absolutely.
Drive.
Ready to rock. Wish I could go sooner. Wish I could get it done now. I drove by there and I'm like, I can see my machines up there.
Janet, just so you know, Bernie is on the meeting, but he says he's having trouble with his mic picking up, so I just instructed him if he has any comments to type them in and I'll read them out in the
Okay.
chat.
Okay, great. Yes, since I'm facing this way today, I'm not really seeing the screen, but you can see if anybody raises their hand or makes a comment.
And indeed.
So item 5, committee business, the Community Investment Fund grant projects. Usually I forward our agenda to Freeman to kind of remind him to update us. I neglected to do so this month. But have you heard anything about the Main Street construction? Okay.
Yeah, so I wouldn't recall that correspondence because it's related to the agenda item, but we did get, I forwarded back to you, comments back from DOT to amend that plan, but none of them had to do with the intersection. They were super minor. I'm sure I could go and find it, but it was like they had stamped the plan, really minor. There was one piece of drainage, I think, that they commented on. But again, nothing around the intersection, which is what we were so concerned about. That doesn't mean they won't have second round comments later, but I know Tristan's working on getting that update. And as to the grant itself, the Monday before this meeting every month, I send a message to DECD going, hey, where's the contract? And I didn't get a response this time, so. I did send over the RFP draft that Steve and Brian Santos helped me with for the rest of the architecturals. DECD has to approve anything before it goes out to bid, and theoretically, we can go out to bid on that contract is in hand. But I haven't heard back from Chris Lipinski. It's not 100% sure clear to me that they also need to approve design RFPs, but I'm assuming that they do. But Chris hasn't gotten back to me either, so that's where we are. Holding pattern
All right.
otherwise.
And I will, remind Tristan about it. Forwarding some of the drainage, stormwater management stuff related to Duhamel Pond. I'd really like to see that and see if it's feasible or not feasible, or if it's gonna take too much up of the park that people don't like it, so.
A thing to keep in mind about the drainage stuff, even if we don't do it with this grant, because of the uncertainty around where the funding is coming from for the 65 Main landscaping, because of the chaos in the congressional budget process. If we get to a certain point of the rest of these redevelopment processes and that hasn't shaken loose from the Fed, I can theoretically reapply to SIF. So, but if I were to do that, I would want it again to have a number of interrelated things to make it seem worth DECD's time. So I would put the Hamel Pond stuff in there if we needed it still, blah, blah. You know, there's a couple of things that
Okay.
Joanne, I'm gonna toss you on mute because you've got a lot of background noise, so just be aware that you can help off if you need to comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you could hear my radio. It's barely on.
It's not the radio, it sounds like
Paper shuffle.
paper or scraping or something, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stop doing it. Don't mute me. I'll stop.
Looks like you lost burn.
Yeah, I saw, yeah, Bernie dropped off. He's probably trying to dial back in. He must be in Vermont.
Okay, then I guess why don't, does anybody have any other questions for Tiara or anything on the community investment fund grant? Projects?
In all the fact.
Okay, then let's move on to item B, 630 Riverside Drive update. I mean, I guess as we all know, the good news is at the town public meeting, and what do you call them, the ordinances, the resolutions?
Well,
What do they call
they were just agreements.
Agreements.
So a tax lien agreement and assessment incentive
Right.
agreement, because it's not really an abatement, it's just a deferment.
Yeah.
So,
That was explained very well
yeah,
at the meeting.
those passed overwhelmingly. I mean, I didn't hear any nays in the room.
Not a single one, nor did I see anybody in the audience that I thought was even there to potentially be disruptive. So that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
we over planned for that meeting. I mean, quite intentionally. You know, Ken was there, I was there. Robert's LEP was there. We were ready for every possible question. I think that's the first one of these like ordinance / agreement town meetings we have where I didn't have to get up and be like an explainer in chief on something, and I was perfectly happy on that one. Yeah, it went better than we had even optimistically planned for.
Yeah.
So,
Right, so,
oh, Tristan's coming in now.
oh, okay,
We want to backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
He's not in on his mic yet, so. Proceed. There he is. He's in on his audio. Okay. He's in.
good morning, Tristan. Do you have anything well, sorry, I forgot to forward you the agenda, but do you have any updates on the project?
Yes, actually. We did receive comments from the DOT. The good part is, which most times the first DOT review requires some level of response or revision. The good part is they're not very intense. They are specific though, and it's something that I'll have to kind of coordinate with the DOT on. One of the things that they're they're looking for is for us to kind of redo or kind of modify the 88 pedestrian crossing on Riverside Drive, just north of where our new intersection will go into Riverside Drive. So coordinating with the DOT, I'm going to get those plans revised. There might be some slight modification to the crosswalk, but we're going to work with the DOT on that to make sure we get that nailed down. But they had no commentary on the treatment for over the drive area, which for those deliveries, which I know that was a big kind of a decent point in past meetings. So hopefully we can get that back to them soon and kind of move on from the DOT review portion into into finalizing the plans and into bid.
Tristan, I thought there was a drainage comment too. In fact, I had forgotten about the crosswalk comment, or I thought the crosswalk was someplace else on the plan.
I don't know if there was actually, hold on, let me review that. I don't believe there was too much of a drainage comment, but I could be misremembering that.
Well, as could I. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw that email at the same time. So.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now just to confirm. No, they wanted us to use some DOT specific details on pavement restoration, and then the mid block 88 compliant sidewalk and ramp. Those were and then of course signed and sealed plan. So those were the 3 comments that we from that September letter.
So that was I who misremembered, and I'm glad that Tristan came in.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great that they accepted the geometry of the intersection redesign.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So like I said, the crosswalk is, that's the biggest part, biggest question. Right now the crosswalk kind of partially dives into a existing driveway. I don't want to change the geometry too much of that crosswalk, but they may require us to do maybe a slight adjustment since we're redoing the sidewalk going up past that. So I'll work with the DOT to figure out what's the best means of being compliant.
So we are at you overall in the design process, like what % complete?
I'd say we're pretty significant. It's hard to put a number on it right now because there's a few things I still want to review, maybe with the town and with you, Janet. But I'd say we're probably like 80 plus. Maybe some correspondence on the water quality control pond, and then just verifying some of the phasing for the drainage. I think that's a big piece. Just to understand how it would be constructed in case we have to change anything, do temporary structures or anything like that. So those are probably the 2 biggest outstanding pieces at this point, outside of the DOT.
Okay, great.
I just have one quick, we're looking at, because we don't know what the cost of this whole project, because of inflation, may do, and we're still talking about getting Swanson Park done as well.
Yep.
Like on the back burner. If I remember correctly, we're talking about putting up the granite or up the sidewalks up and down. What would be the cost difference if we had to ship pumps in order to complete the project? Just doing the cement, like Putnam did down 44. How much of a cost difference
Well,
that we could possibly save.
I wouldn't do those where they extend up to Route 12.
What area are you talking about? Along Riverside Drive?
Right.
I'm talking like from the 65 Main all the way down. Along that. I'm just throwing that
Yeah.
out.
So I think
Did
that's,
you-
that's
did you hear
probably
the-
okay for
Did
Main
you hear the
Street.
question?
Yeah, Main Street itself.
Tristan, because the mic is a little bit far from Ken.
No, yeah, I actually missed a little bit in the middle there.
Okay. Ken's question is, if the project comes in under budget, could you do like monolithic concrete curb and sidewalk instead of granite curb? Like if that would be a substantial saving, is that a good,
Basically, yeah.
that was Ken's question.
Yeah, I mean, concrete curbing is decently cheaper than granite curbing. If that's not a town standard and that's not something that is required, then we can definitely substitute that throughout the project. So
I mean,
that's
right
something we
now,
can
I
look
think,
into.
or the bid alternates right now, as I I'm just going from my memory, I didn't refresh it, is Swanson Park, the water quality basin,
Yep.
wait, there was one more. Oh, the work at the library? Isn't that, or is that in the
Yes,
other
that's,
contract?
Well, I think it was originally in there, but since ECCD has that grant out, that would be covered by
Okay,
them. So it might be in there because it would have been previous to ECCD submitting, or in case ECCD doesn't get that grant.
Okay.
But that's the first thing that comes out. is
so
that.
is it possible, I mean, without having to make crazy changes in the plans, to have a bid alternate be concrete curb instead of granite curb?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's too difficult. We just have to call it out pretty specific and give a linear footage to it, but yeah, I don't think that would be too significant.
Does that sound?
No, I-
We have to
You
we have to
know,
modify the cost estimate anyways with some of these changes and the and with the responses of the DOT and the sidewalk kind of adjustment in front of within the town property. So there's some things that need to kind of get picked up in the cost estimate anyway. So we can add that line item. It'd probably end up being more of a, if the granite is a base contract thing, it kind of potentially may end up at more like a deduct, type
Right.
of value. So yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a more appropriate way to phrase it. And saying we would only be talking about possibly doing concrete on the contiguous area for Main Street itself, the sidewalks that extend up Riverside Drive, those have to be granite.
correct.
Yes.
right,
I mean, the whole idea is we get this project done.
right,
Yes.
And we know how inflation and everything
Right.
goes, so if we have that as a alternative,
Yeah.
right, and that, what if it is $200,000 or something? I mean, that could
Right.
make or break it,
but to make a break, even what we're doing with Swanson Park,
right,
depending on what's going on.
right.
Because we don't
Yep.
know what money's gonna be available, so having that option is probably a good idea.
And I don't know if you heard the last, and Ken said having that option is probably a good idea.
Yeah. No, I did hear that. Yeah. So we'll definitely line item that and kind of constitute as a value. We'll probably do it as the value of just concrete sidewalk with with the monolith curb, have that be a line item value so it can compare to the sidewalk and curb values together. So something we'll make it so that it's easy to understand how it's deducting the cost.
Perfect.
Thank you, Tristan.
Yep, no problem.
Any other committee members on the Zoom room or the live room have any questions for Tristan? I think we're all set, Tristan. Thanks a lot
Okay.
for the update.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess we will shift back to just starting about the 6:30 Riverside Drive update. Now, Steve actually prepared a draft. I passed out some copies. There's a couple extra ones at the end of the table there. A suggestion of a draft letter to go in one of the papers, I don't know, Shopper's Guide or Villager. So if everybody wants to take a minute maybe and read over Steve's letter that says, "Thank you, Thompson citizen," his suggested draft.
Steve did.
Great job. Maybe we can, I know you got a question mark on the demolition when it started. I forgot. Third paragraph where it says Mills demolition in 19.
When was it demolished?
It's a good question. I'm wondering if the building office may have something on file up there for demolition permit.
It definitely
Yeah.
did, and I want to say that thing was demolished in relatively late, like in this century, like 2006.
I think it might have been in your guys' slide deck. I couldn't go to the public information session, but I
Well, no,
reviewed all the
Now he
slides.
had 1962.
Well,
Or when the bill
1960
stopped
closed, yeah.
supposedly, but it was still operating for quite a while.
Okay.
Even before the lab was still. But it's just to put a number there, I don't think could be late 1999, whatever, because that went through several ownerships. So it went eventually to Ann Scott, who was the last one. Where you got Gateway, I'd probably highlight that. And and I'm not trying to be Joanne. Seek solutions to this site, you've got that all capital, I don't know if that was intentional. And I think Robert's name is spelled wrong.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah, the
place down
jam.
there.
Three Ts.
Yeah, the actual T, yeah. Because I think it's a K, not a.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, because down below,
Well, it was just intended
but it's
to give
great,
you an idea,
but I mean, we should do something with that, get that out there.
you know.
Yeah.
The point being, we were formed 15 years ago for that site. And now something is finally happening. And it went pretty well the other night. I thought this committee should acknowledge that. So gives awareness not only to the site, but to the work this committee is doing too. Absolutely.
1000%.
I have some notes.
Go ahead, Joanne.
That's what, that shuffling of papers was me going through my notes. Our committee was established in 2012. Built the Building Corticelli Park Committee charge from the town of Thompson.
Yeah.
And my first minute meetings were from 2015 though.
Yeah,
And there, I think, I mean, the first members on the committee were Norma, Steve. Steve, were you at the first? Was that you, the Steve that I'm referring to in my notes?
Yeah.
You were okay? Because it was Steve, Norma, Dave, whoever Dave was. If that might have been Dave Babbitt.
Babbitt,
Probably that.
Dave
And
Babbitt was
Kevin.
the chairman then, actually.
And Kevin, yep. And I didn't see Jan on my notes until about September. So you, yeah, I guess you were the original chair of this
No,
whole time.
it was Dave Babbitt was the original chairman, so we'll just cross off that sentence about I served as the original chairman of
Okay.
that.
But yeah, I got a lot of notes from, I meant to be at this meeting this morning. I apologize, but the next one I can bring you all my notes because I'm sick and it's like 4 inches thick.
But you can rework that sentence.
Right, oh yeah,
I
yeah,
currently serve as the chair.
right.
Steve, I found a couple of typos. I can get it back to you privately.
Thank you, Kevin.
So does anybody else have any comments or thoughts about where it should be published or, because if Joanne, if you send over the typo comments to Steve and I, since he put me to sign it, I can put it together in one.
Yeah, so if you want it to go in the Villager, it's got to go in, well, technically before noon on Tuesday. Actually, Monday being a holiday, I would say you probably want to send this in by the end of today.
Okay,
Couldn't we do it as a letter to the editor?
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
for the Villager.
That way it doesn't cost us anything.
okay, yeah, that was gonna be my next thing,
Yeah,
but
this
we don't
is-
have a
This is
budget.
more appropriate
Yeah.
for a Villager letter than it is
Yeah.
for a shopper's guide thing anyway. The
Okay,
land bank has done, after we did the VAD ordinance, the land bank did take out a couple of thank you ads for getting it passed. But that's a separate entity, obviously, and it wasn't like a letter, it was ad copy. So yes, this is very much more appropriate for a Villager submission. So because of the holiday, I would say try to get it in by the end of today.
okay. And I also, since Steve put in on the time and effort to write it, I wouldn't mind saying Janet Blanchett, chairman, and Steve Lewis, vice chair. Is that
Yes. Great idea.
right?
Right. No, only because you have one member of the committee who is also on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So you don't want to put that member in the position of having taken a position on the project. Because then he would have to recuse himself from voting.
Good point.
but this is the different part. This is the,
But either way, I would
Okay,
say it
don't
puts,
put any name.
the officers are fine.
Oh, just the
officers are
officer.
fine.
Okay,
I would just stay away from anything that takes an affirmative position
Yeah.
on the project,
okay,
this one or the other one.
okay.
I think Bernie's got it.
So do the committee members, should we like have a motion to agree to put this in the village yard? Or just a consensus?
I'll read your comment in a second.
Yeah, I mean, then we probably get it over to WI and find it, post it up on Facebook, we've got our Facebook page and stuff. The top site,
Okay,
so we can get that out there, that'd be great.
So Bernie's comment, if there is a time frame where someone can appeal the decision of the town meeting, we should hold off until after that time frame for publishing Steve's letter. But I don't believe there is an appeal process for town meeting because that's an action of your citizenry. It's not like when the Planning and Zoning Commission makes a decision that an applicant disagrees with or some other aggrieved party disagrees with. There's a statutory process for that. But I don't think you can undo something done at town meeting other than via another town meeting.
You've gotta go another time. And somebody would have to petition for it.
Yeah.
okay, so it seems like that's not an issue, so Joanne forwarded over the typos.
Yep, there's only a few.
Okay. I guess I'll try to polish it up and get it to Tiara as soon as I can, maybe possibly this afternoon. And then could you send it, wait, how do we send it in?
So.
Do I just mail it in?
So at noon, I'm leaving for an off-site thing,
Okay,
and that'll be me for the day.
okay,
All of my, like the MSRAC letterhead, actually, I think I might have the MSRAC letterhead on this. Let me see if I have it on.
I mean, actually, realistically, it's gonna be better for me if I do this next week, because I just got back from a trip and.
I don't think we'll make it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so then we won't have
I
a
always like
rush.
to do it hot off the presses
Right.
myself, but, that's fine.
Let's give ourselves some time.
And then we can just do it at our
It'll
leisure.
just keep reminding people of the the
Yeah.
project.
Bernie has an additional comment.
Okay,
Tara, this is too important. Please get legal confirmation of your thoughts of this not being an issue. I think really isn't good enough here. Fair enough, Bernie. Easy enough to confirm.
okay. Anything else on 630 Riverside Drive?
As far as progress is concerned, I mean, this was obviously a critical step, and, just like you went in the room, I did thank the committee and everybody that's like a team effort. It's not, this is top to bottom, like there's hundreds of people that I can mention. It's too many people to even mention, it's crazy, but just the amount of, support has been awesome, and, we appreciate it big time. And looking forward to it. So, get me agreement done and moving forward with the foreclosure as quickly as possible. Obviously we have holidays and stuff like that, but it's probably going to be a 5 to 6 month process. Unfortunately, I wish there was a way for me to speed it up. I just can't. Well, commentative on the courts, how quickly they can move, but the owner now has been super receptive, and he's actually offered, he's like, whatever he can do to help. So I like that, so move it. And as soon as we get title, it's gonna start changing.
All right,
Well, in a perfect world, it's figure 5 months or so. You're
Yeah.
talking spring.
Yeah, exactly. So
It gives you plenty of time to do your planning.
Yeah. In the meantime, I do want it, I'm gonna, him and I have already verbally agreed to this, but I want to be able to have something in writing where I could consistently access the property, just kind of familiarize myself with more stuff over there, so.
okay,
And
thank you.
Amy made a point of coming in today, because I know you're involved at the Battle of Fairholme Farm, but so that you guys can get those agreements signed
Mhm.
today and then get them squared away.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the River Mill update. At last month's meeting, I know we talked about writing a letter of the support for the River Mill to the Planning and Zoning Commission because they have applied for a special permit to construct the the apartments and the businesses. So this is just an idea of a draft that I put together. I don't even know whether the timeline and the next page is relevant or not, but I don't know. You could grab a copy if you want, John, they're at the end of that. Yeah, well, I don't know how much, some of the Planning and Zoning Commission members haven't been there for 10 years. I don't know whether it's important to give them any.
My personal opinion is that every bit of support and context is helpful.
Okay, I do have a couple question marks on dates too.
Yeah. And we can take correspondence all the way through next week, that's fine.
Okay.
And it would get, well, it can be read into the record as a part of the public hearing. In order to make sure that happens, I would include that as a request at the beginning of the letter.
Okay,
Because not all correspondence gets read in, so you just want to be clear that this is to be considered in the public hearing.
and I know I already marked on my calendar to attend and, speak aloud at the public hearing in favor.
So you would speak separately from
I
the
can,
letter? Either way is fine.
yes, I would speak separately. I mean, if that's appropriate.
Sure, of course it's appropriate.
I mean, the more, it seems like for special permit public hearings, people who are against speak a lot more than people who are in favor. So the more people who stand up and speak in favor.
Yeah, always, that's always the way it happens.
Right, so that's, I forget, it's the fourth Monday. I forget what the date
It's
is?
the 27th,
27th, okay,
and it's gonna be at the library because early voting is going.
okay. That I definitely didn't know.
Would have her, best time for her to speak is in the yard. When we open it to the public.
Yeah, it's part of the
Yeah,
public hearing.
It's part of the
Yeah.
public hearing. Yeah, I would speak in favor of it.
We'll grant you more than 3 minutes.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments on this letter? Anything they want to add? I mean, again, you can email them to me because it's probably not going to be done today. I'll do it next week. If so, anybody, and does anybody know about those dates where I put question mark at the end about
Yeah,
I mean, even if it's an approximate year, I was just trying to kind of move things forward.
Well, we could easily look up the date of adoption of the BAT ordinance. And I can easily look up the date. In fact, I can probably do it right now.
Well,
When we received the grant notification. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm looking.
isn't it?
and is that sometimes I get confused on the different state agencies. Is that that's CD?
Yes, that's a DECD brownfield.
Okay, Brownfield.
It'll take me a while to find it in this map.
You,
though.
you can email it to me, like I said, next week. I'll do it. I'll wrap these letters up next week. So Bernie or Joanne, if you have any comments, you can, on the draft letters, you can email them to me.
Are you looking for? the,
Okay,
DOT $2.1 million.
There you go, round 4 award confirmation. January 6th, 2021.
Wow, was that long ago? Okay. And one thing I noticed that was included, I don't know if the members are interested, but I did ask Cindy Dunn for a copy of the actual application, so when I was writing this letter, I could use the right wording and everything, and so she forwarded me the 19-sheet set of plans that are that have been submitted. And I know that this committee hasn't seen anything recent for a while. I don't know if you want to share those, Tara, because I think there's some really interesting things about the site, about the buildings, about the layouts, if you guys just want to, or I can always forward them to you to browse at your leisure, but this is the conceptual set of plans that have been submitted with the application to P&Z.
And a lot of this will seem familiar to people who have seen iterations of this. And just to be clear of the strategy that John Gumpert and I discussed with both Margaret and Cindy, because it's such a complicated project with multiple steps. The special permit they're seeking right now is for the change of use. Now, there's no existing use permit for this because it was constructed in pre-zoning. But obviously everybody knows it was essentially industrial manufacturing, however you want to think about it. So because there are two reasons why we're separating it out this way. One is because the grant that you were just talking about, the brownfield remediation, we had to create bright line separation between what the town is doing and what the developer is doing for prevailing wage reasons. So what they'll be doing with the brownfield grant is the hazardous building materials abatement in the building itself. And Eagle Construction is creating that plan and design now, because different sections of the building are residential versus commercial. That may inform how they complete their plan and design. So before they move forward, we want to establish that the uses are approved. So that was one reason, and really the main reason. The second reason being that the phases are just going to go at vastly different times. The initial HBM abatement is going to occur maybe an entire year before the rest of the site work. And that site work plan is for the remediation that John's going to be doing. Will just come in for a second permit. So it's the most complicated project we're ever going to see. So we just want to make sure it has the few obstacles. If anybody wants me to stop on any of these, let me know.
No, but you could send us a copy.
Did you send it to everybody this morning?
No, but yeah, let's
I can.
forward it to everybody because it is interesting. Like I'm sure you guys would be interested in the architectural, the layout of the buildings and everything.
Just the phases too, because it's a large project.
John, did you want to say something?
No, I was just asking, sent to me, I haven't,
But you'll get it anyway, because you're.
I know,
Should-
I want a
But-
head start.
Yeah, but this is like the latest and greatest. This is dated October 3rd. So no, and I know none of us have
Yes.
seen,
Other than past renderings
Right.
that John had.
right. So I found this to be very interesting, like where the parking's going and where the pool is going and how many units and how many 3-bedroom and 1-bedroom. And so it's interesting stuff and the little floor plans and so.
300 apartments embedded in 300 houses.
From an environmental point of view, you are 100% correct, sir.
Okay, so
Plus the
you
cost.
wanna, either Tia or I can forward this to you, who do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a PDF, but it's interesting, very interesting.
If anybody wants to look at any of these sheets right now, just let me know and I'll zoom to them.
Yeah, I got to meet Mr. Gumpert the other day, real nice guy. Nice.
There's a lot of patience.
A lot of projects going on
Yeah.
there, too.
Yeah, his time horizon is definitely long view.
Yeah. So,
Never seen a man get around, never.
so did everybody understand what's going on now with the P&Z application, or any other questions about progress in the River Mill?
Another piece of progress that just over the last couple of weeks, because the state needs to have a whole series of documents in hand, both from us and from the developer. One of the things that was holding us up on that final contract is evidence that the liens are cleared. So that presented a wrinkle that we had to work through in the shorter term. There's always been an issue with the back fees on the sewer over there. So I had conversations with a couple of guys from the WPCA board, and they voted at one of their recent meetings to agree to knock down the arrears on that from, it was like $200,000 or something, down to 50. So I presented that back to the developer and his attorney, and they're just working that out with their financing partners on getting that resolved in the short term. So as soon as they have something a little more solid, I'll present that back to the WPCA for their final approval.
Okay,
That was a big hump to get over, because that's always been kind of floating out there, because we have no control over the WPCA. They're a separate entity. And there was some indication for a while that they were not super willing to negotiate on that, but in the end, actually, they were quite reasonable. And that amount of $50,000, that was something one of their members suggested. It was not a number I threw at them. So that was significant.
we'll get a lot more in the future if this project gets done.
This is true.
Add a lot of flow to the system. Anything else on River Mill?
That was great, everything started moving.
Yeah.
Progressively.
I guess there is a little more. The companion property 915. There is a gentleman using the site on a temporary basis. He's going to be doing some selling of wood products there. That piece is going in front of wetlands on Tuesday. They need to make sure that he's got silt fencing up and stuff. And Gumpert was in yesterday to talk to Margaret about that. So if anybody asks about what's going on over there, the clearing that's been going on is obviously sort of related to the master project, but the gentleman who's going to be running a small business out of there off the site, he will have a permit separately to do that activity. So
Okay.
it'll all be compliant.
Well, that's good. I mean, I guess generate a little bit of revenue. He's leasing it out and have some activity.
I think that is all of the updates on.
Okay. Okay, then I guess the next item on the agenda is like any other updates from any other grants, projects, new grants? Anything
Still
not
haven't-
specifically on the agenda?
Yeah, still haven't heard back from ECCD. I'm sure that notification on those 319 awards is going to be delayed for who knows how
Right.
freaking long,
Right.
even if they ever come in. I mean, just who knows. You had asked, I think, about the LID project with the Yukon students. I just had an update from the student liaison there. They came a couple weeks ago and visited a bunch of sites. I want to say town hall, the library, I mean, the buildings we own. And they are putting together a presentation for DPW. It's really DPW's. They're really working for DPW, but I'm sort of on CC on everything for when Kelly or Joe are out or away. And they're just gonna come up with, I think, some recommendations.
Okay,
think that's it.
All right, then item E, any other committee business? Anyone online? Nope. All right, then I guess we can have a motion to adjourn.
You have it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
That was Ken and Steve on the motion for the
Right.
7 minutes. Okay, thank you, friends.